Okay, today we're doing interview for the Veterans History Project, and we've been uh, uh, graciously uh, granted an interview of Beverly Sangeleer, and Beverly was in during the Vietnam War, and so we look forward to hearing about her experiences. My name is Paul Julian, and I'm here with my partner Joe Davey. We're at the Brevard Veterans Memorial Center, Merritt Island, Florida, and the date is March 19th, 2024. Uh, Thank you again, Beverly, for letting us talk with you on this. Where were you born?
Melrose, Massachusetts.
Okay. And about your family, were your parents, both your parents, what did they do?
They both worked,
Okay.
and they were an ideal beaver cleaver type of a home.
Mm-hmm. Bev, did you have any brothers and sisters?
I have two younger brothers.
Okay. And did they, by any chance, serve in the military?
Yes, the one that's a year younger than myself. We went into the Navy, both of us.
Okay. Um, so, what were your parents feeling about you joining?
So very proud.
Mm-hmm.
They were both World War II veterans. And it was just something that our family did. We have a very long history. Ancestry, my ancestors came from England and Ireland in the 1600s, settled in New England, and have stayed there ever since.
Okay. Um, so they were proud of you
Very.
and your brother. Now, did, when did you go in?
I went in October 8th of 67.
And so, at that point, for the war that we were involved in Vietnam, it was still the GI and we're just fine. The service people were just fine. You know, the image.
Yes.
And okay. Then Beverly. Then I would go. You went in as a nurse, right?
Right.
Okay. And so you'd already had your nurse's degree and all that, huh?
Yes. When I was about 12 years old, I entered a contest. It was all about careers. And I said that I would very much like to be a Navy nurse. And from then on, it was planned out for me. I never looked another direction. At 17, I went to a little hospital in my hometown, Melrose Hospital, did a 3-year nursing program, and just followed my dreams.
Did you go in? So right out of your nurse's training, did you go right into the Navy?
No, I had to take my boards,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, it's a very long process, so it took most of the summer.
Okay.
So somewhere between May and October I went in.
And that is
7.
67. Okay. Then you went immediately. You went to officers candidate school.
I did,
Yeah,
in
okay.
Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay. Yeah. Was it a long OCS? Was it long? So,
No,
No.
it was short. There were nurses, doctors, dental technicians. It was all medical corps.
Mm-hmm.
And we were really needed at that moment, so it was quick.
And this is what Bev. Is this what they call the knife and force school? Was it like that?
It was all academic.
Okay.
There was no physical activity. It was all book work.
They weren't concerned with your marching and your movements. And
No,
it was okay.
not at all.
Okay. So where did you go in at?
Boston.
in Boston,
Yes.
and it was unceremonial. It was just,
Sign on the dotted line. You'll have your orders.
and then from there you went right to Newport.
Went to Newport.
Mm-hmm.
Went home, packed my bags. Went to Philadelphia.
Okay, and the at that point you didn't have a husband or anything like that.
No, at that point I was 20 years old. I had an education, and I had a desire to be a Navy nurse.
Okay. The training that did you when you were at OCS, Beverly? Did you did you just go through OCS, or did you have any medical advanced medical training or no?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Strictly OCS.
Okay. And okay, so you went like right after that, right after the OCS, you went to Philadelphia Naval Hospital,
Right.
and was there going just back as far as, was there a heart adjustment? Even though I know you didn't have to go through the physical training.
The adjustment was social.
Mm-hmm.
I had never lived on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been in a very protected nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
Had no car. Here I am in a big city. So first thing I did was go home and buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
Come down and got an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And went with a young lady that I had met in OCS. So we stayed together the whole 2 years.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Had a buddy.
Yep.
So I guess we'll get right to Beverly. What were of that 2 year period? And after, so it was a 2 year period you were in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So during that 2 year period at the Philadelphia Naval Hospital, were there memories that really stand out more than other?
There sure were.
Mm-hmm.
There were. Philadelphia was the receiving hospital for the East Coast for the sailors and the Marines. Heavy emphasis on amputees. And I worked on the floor as a charge nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Never afraid to get my hands dirty. I
Mm-hmm.
loved working with the young men.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that bothered me the most at that time, adaptation to the nursing procedures, no, that came natural.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the families.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that would be their first visit since their loved one was in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to sit with them and explain the injuries and how they were going to look to them, implications for the future,
Mm-hmm.
what their life would be from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was their age. It was the same age as these young men. And I think that was difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
It never got easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be complacent. Each one was so very important.
Mm-hmm.
But that took a toll.
And so the Beverly, was that, so as you're telling, that was probably the most difficult part of that job, huh? That
I believe
assignment.
it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you ever get, did it ever become like, second nature, or
Not that particular chore.
no?
No, because it took so much of my heart with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to have a brave front.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was all done, you'd go in the area, back room or somewhere, and you might shed a few tears and say, well, I've learned something from this discussion that I will carry on to the next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was quite an experience.
And I'm sure just by you telling me that they were very fortunate to have somebody like you. So the would you do nursing or medicine, or would you basically be just like a representative, or would you actually do assist in
I was a hands-on nurse.
hands-on?
Yes.
Okay.
I did supervision.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was the only nurse on the ward.
Mm-hmm.
Working the 3 to 11 shift, I might be the only nurse on 3 wards
Mm-hmm.
and cover all 3.
Mm-hmm.
But during the day, there was usually a senior officer,
Mm-hmm.
and that gave me a chance to work with the patients.
Mm-hmm. The so you were in from 67 through 69.
Correct.
So based on my history of that, the Tet Offensive was 68. So my question is, did the morale change in the second part of your service experience, the morale of the GI?
It did. It just seemed so hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what haven't they learned? They're still sending amputees back. There's still badly wounded people coming back. You know, when are they going to learn?
Mm-hmm.
It was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt that I was doing my best, and I did my best for every patient.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got complacent about that, no.
Mm-hmm.
They got 100% of me.
Mm-hmm. And did it affect you? I'm kind of jumping ahead, but then
That's
did it? Was it hard to keep it together during that time? Was it hard to keep your composure?
No. All the nurses, very focused.
Mm-hmm.
We had outstanding corpsmen we worked with.
Mm-hmm.
You did what you needed to do. You kept at a face for the young men to look at to see, okay, maybe things are going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now, when you left the building, yes, you crashed,
Yeah.
but not during when you were working with them, no.
So that was all important, that your composure just had to be there.
It did.
Okay, because they're gauging what's going to happen to them, and going, they're gauging from you, huh?
And they're looking for clues.
Mm-hmm.
How is the nurse reacting?
Mm-hmm.
Is she horrified? No. They were my focus.
You had to be stoic.
They were my
You
focus.
had to be stoic. There
Yep.
was no way.
Nope.
So so that was the hardest part. Was there any particular memories that you had, either to the positive or to the negative, that exemplified, your role, your service? Was there anything in the hospital? Anything?
I learned the true meaning of teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
And we all functioned as a team, interchangeable, but we worked within a team. And that was the only way we could do it.
Okay.
Now, when I got out, that didn't help me any.
Okay.
No.
Because Bev, how so?
Well, because civilian nursing is different.
Okay.
I found a great deal of teamwork lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about I and me.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out and I took a job in maternity, totally opposite of what I had been doing. And I liked that. Mm-hmm. But I didn't get good reviews, because they said, well, when you have spare time, you seem to want to gravitate towards the patient and use those as teaching moments.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that's good, because that's how I trained.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't good. They said, we don't teach the patients.
Mm-hmm.
We do your job and go read a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of that job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't function like that.
Yeah.
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 I have to give all of myself.
Mm-hmm. So on the, the positive would it be, Bev, that you were being able to realize, being able, giving your service and giving of yourself was during your service, was it that you were doing that? Was that the positive thing that you were, no, you knew in your heart that you were giving everything, right? You weren't leaving anything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was proud of everything I did.
So during this time, your 2 years at the hospital, were there friendships and camaraderie or no? It was
Oh,
just all
yes.
business? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you found it's like the person that's involved in, you know, like in combat or they're overseas, you know, you basically had to rely on each other, and that was, you know, you said that that was all important. That it wouldn't have worked unless people worked together.
Right.
So they knew that. Okay.
And we socialized, and we had a big circle of friends, and we had lots of activities. Great. Could I show you the picture?
Sure. Sure. Can I help you? Yeah. Okay. Oh wow.
This is my boot camp picture.
Oh wow. And let me guess, is that one on the right, is that your brother?
No, that's Ben Vidalik.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And who's that on the left?
Some young girl.
Great. Did you meet Ben? Did you meet him in the hospital?
No, actually, we met at the Veterans Reunion at Wickham Park.
Oh,
And
isn't
then-
that something?
Then we were totally involved in the same circles at the breakfast for the veterans at Mima's.
Mm-hmm.
And we were both married at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a picture of my veteran heritage.
Oh wow.
I can't see where I am. So this, my grandfather was World War II. My father was, he was World War II Army. My mother was Coast Guard. This is the brother that I went into the Navy with. That was me. This was my son, Desert Storm. He was an Army medic.
Can you lean it forward a little bit? That's right there. A little glare on it.
And now my grandson is stationed in Kuwait in the Air Force. He's got a month left to go.
I bet she's eager to get home.
Oh, yeah. His bride is eager for him to get home.
Just a couple points that I'd like to cover. The operating room, was that, as far as your technical ability and expertise, was that was really had to focus on the operating room, right?
I never did the operating.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Did you? He's the old open wards.
World War II, wooden, wide open wards.
Okay.
And there were beds lining both sides of the wards.
It was like a if
Like
you
a
compare it,
barracks.
it was like a barracks. Bev, is like you compare it to a office setting. It was like a, what do they call it? A bullpen, but it was a little bit that people are laying down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Metal beds, one next to another, all the way down the line. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm very jumpy, is because I was so used to listening. Just to pick up on anything, like at night, sitting at the desk in the middle, you could hear when something was going on. You know, so I was always on watch.
And so we had examples of the patients falling out of the beds,
Okay, I don't know if they did that. Yeah,
and that happened often, huh?
it did.
Yeah.
It did.
And okay. Anything else? Like any other memories of your 2 years that come to mind that really had made a great impression?
There was one young man, and I had worked so hard on taking care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home for the weekend, and when I came back, the bed was empty. I had a real hard time adjusting to that because I thought we were going to have him pull through, and he didn't. Could he have pulled through if I didn't take the weekend off? That's a question that I'll never know the answer to. You know, the same way when I left. When I left the Naval Hospital, there was no goodbye parties. There was no paperwork. I finished my shift. I got into my loaded car and I drove away. And I'm going down the turnpike thinking, now what? Wow, that part of my life's over. What am I going to do now?
As far as digressing back, you're the type of person did you invest in every patient?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And was that not unusual given the the cruelty and the war, the nature of what it did to the young men and especially men, that it's just you couldn't help yourself from investing in them.
No.
Right? Yeah.
No, whether it was the first patient or the last patient I saw, they all got 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They deserved that.
Yeah. Were you able to stay in touch with family and friends during that time?
Oh, yes. Yes. I have a very tight family.
Was there anything particular, given the seriousness, was there any particular humorous or unusual events that you...
In Philadelphia, we were right off the main drag. Down the road a piece was Mickey Finn's. It's one of those swinging, the swings that the girls, Now, the corpsman, let's go to Mickey Finn's. Come on, we'll take you to Mickey Finn's. I said, guys, I can't drink legally. You're all older than I am. Well, this is when I was 20. But I sure would let them go out for the weekends. I said, if you can get a friend, I don't care if they push your gurney down Broad Street, down to Mickey Finn's. If you can get out of here, I'll sign the paperwork. And boy, they were gone. And then Monday morning, we had a routine. Mm. So Monday morning, you went out for the weekend, you messed around. Go right down the whole aisle of the beds. Okay, who partied this weekend? Mm-hmm. And they'd all get their antibiotics for the weekend.
That's standard practice, yeah?
Yeah, it was standard practice. We had to laugh.
Yeah.
And I had a favorite patient. He was right beside the desk. And I see his name a lot. His name was Ted Vogt, because in this county, there's a Ted Vogt that is a politician. Not the same one. But this young person was a triple amputee, and he lost his vision. And the only thing he ever wanted was a cigarette. I said, I'm getting so good at lighting a cigarette, and I don't even smoke, But here he was, all bandaged up with a cigarette in his mouth. This is a wooden hospital ward. Mm-hmm. Not a good idea.
The smoking, yeah.
Yep. But that, again, is an example of doing 100% for what that patient needed at the time. Mm-hmm. They were my children.
Yeah.
They were my children. And the families, I became part of their families.
Mhm.
I've lost touch with any of them,
Mhm.
other than the one girl that went through boot camp with me, Philadelphia with me, and now she lives right in the Villages.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is neat. That's a neat place up there.
Mm.
So before we leave the service, you know, your active duty behind, did you go on to reserves, or that was it?
No, I get out and got married within a month.
Okay.
The only time in my life I didn't think through something deeply.
Is the was there a, what was the best part of your service? Was it the fact that something that you wanted since you were a little girl you were able to do?
It fulfilled my dream.
Mm-hmm.
It built self-confidence that I don't know that I would have got any other place.
Mm-hmm.
I had tremendous pride,
Mm-hmm.
and I followed in my family's footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
and that was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
So you told me when the service ended, you just got in your car, packed everything.
I did.
It was unceremonial. It was just.
I didn't even sign paperwork.
No.
It was all done. I just left, and I'm getting on the New Jersey Turnpike thinking, now where? I have no place to go, you know.
Did you return home?
I went home, but I wasn't part of the home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a little different. They weren't used to this new me.
Mm-hmm. It did change you, yeah.
Sure it did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
You were probably 21.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got out when I was 22. So, yeah, I was used to conforming to what my mother and father told me to do, and I came home and my bedroom was gone. It was now a dining room. And I thought, well, and I was seeing somebody, mostly long distance telephone in Philadelphia. So we got married the next month. And
So you knew you couldn't go back. You knew you couldn't go back the way it was. It just wasn't.
it was never going to happen. I had matured out of that
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
But that marriage lasted till he died of asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
He was a veteran as well.
Was this one of your patients?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I met him at a wedding.
Okay. Was it hard to readjust, Bev, readjust from being out of the service back into civilian life?
Very.
Very.
I really, if I'm honest with myself, I never found satisfaction in another job. And I went from one job to another. I think the one I found most satisfaction was loading loaves of bread on shelves and making sure they were neat.
So, with your education, and it's not a piece of cake what you do, because I know other nurses, you got out of it for a while?
No, I worked.
Yeah.
I worked, and then I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
I got my bachelor's in psychology and a bachelor's in sociology on the GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was raising kids. My husband was ill,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at his care at home
Mm-hmm.
until he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I was very active in Vietnam Veterans of Brevard
Mm-hmm.
since mid-'80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the one that makes all the memorial wreaths
Mhm.
for the reunion,
Mm-hmm.
feeds the workers, always in a nurturing position.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Was your husband that you married, a month after you got out, was he a vet then too? Huh?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
He had been on a ship that burned. He was offloading fuel to another ship, and
It's called
it burned.
underway there.
Yes, the North Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
So the last few years, I took full care of him.
Mm-hmm.
I did the hospice care at home. But then I didn't need to work.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank
really.
you.
So we're getting to the end. We're not going to be pushing this.
No.
What are, and these are kind of like reflections, they call them, and these are
Okay.
kind of, so bear with me. Are there some life lessons, Beverly, that you learned from your being a naval nurse? That time, that 2 years, was there any life lessons?
I would say the biggest one is never give up on your dream.
Mm-hmm.
You go through some hard times, but keep it in mind. Keep a goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's meant to be, it will be. And that was for me.
Mm-hmm. Has the military service impacted your feelings about war, or the military in general? Has it impacted? Seeing all the horrors and unpleasantness and ugliness,
My mind goes right back to taking care of the same young men. I see a picture in the newspaper of all these damaged people, and I'm thinking, well, this one needs this, and I'm finding that I'm all ready to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Better get the IVs going. Better get this going.
Mm-hmm.
So it never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you always wanted to share about the service or veteran experience that you never have? Or?
I have shared all my feelings with any young people that I've talked to ROTC, I've talked to just high school kids in general about how that I followed a dream, that I grew up. And if you don't know where you're going in life, consider the military, because there's so many diverse programs.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna stop just for a second and I digress. Did you being a nurse and a medical person, is your thought of even today's military is special, because not everybody has the ability and the stick-to-itiveness to be a nurse or a doctor. So you're not like the other gentleman we talked to about being a grunt. So, you got out in '69. What did you think about either seeing it on the news or, actually being around a vet that had managed to come back intact and stuff? But what did you think about the treatment of the vet?
I didn't come in contact with any vets for a long time until I moved to Florida. And once I saw the amount of veterans in this community and the gatherings and the safe places that they would just talk, and that brought back a lot. And you can say anything to a vet and they listen. But you have to be willing to be a good listener too.
Yes, ma'am. How did you've kind of alluded to it? Your military experience, were there things that from your experience that that affected your life after service that you didn't expect? Was there anything that, I guess that must have been from, my experience when I was in the hospital, and was there anything that you thought that happened to you that...
It really sharpened my ability to act in an instant. If I see something that needs help, I'm gone. I'm doing it. I'm not sitting back thinking, well, somebody else should really do this. Yeah, that has impacted my whole life. As well as the fact that I'm diagnosed with PTSD. That affects me daily, where I see a lot of dreams, flashbacks, situations. But it doesn't take over my life. It complicates it sometimes. But it just makes me more in tune with what everybody else is going through.
This is something that you were always this way, right? Even before, I mean, it's just inherently you, right?
Yes, the career was me.
Yeah, yeah. Would you ever consider, maybe I should, because I have PTSD, maybe I need to kind of back off. I should kind of not care so much. Not.
I can't.
No.
It's
Okay.
not in me to do that.
Okay.
It's more like, despite my PTSD, you'll still get 100%. Yeah.
Wow. What would you like people to know or remember from your story? Would there anything that, like if somebody that, a high school, a girl in high school, thinking about, she's like, she's not really sure about getting a job, but she knows she wants to be in medicine, and she's really thinking about maybe going into service. Is there anything that you would like to, say to somebody like that? Would there be?
I tell them that it was the very best experience in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a wonderful, positive situation. I wasn't looking to fulfill anything when I went in other than a dream, and I maintained values. Didn't change my way of life, and I'm still basically the same person. But I would suggest that they talk to others to get some testing,
Mm-hmm.
and don't make any rash decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is a lifetime commitment to be a veteran.
Mm-hmm. Two more. What do you wish more people knew about veterans?
That they don't like loud noises like that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take a veteran at face value. Don't look at the long hair or the messed up shirt and say, "Oh, we're not going to talk to him."
Mm-hmm.
No, get to know him and find out who the inner person is.
Mm-hmm. And finally, what message would you like to leave for future generations that view or hear your interview? Any particular message? Or
My message would be, hang on to your patriotism. Expand it, develop it, because it's what's going to hold the whole country together. And right now, it tends to be sad at times. But I'm out there working hard as I can be to put out good vibes and do the right thing.
okay, with that, Beverly, again, from the bottom of my heart, and I think I can speak for Joe, I want to thank you for giving us this inspiring interview. And I mean, your service was so important back then, and it's still important. Thank you very much.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Okay.
I'm still getting